What's happening, guys? Ladarius Grimmy on here, and I want to talk to you guys about something I believe is very important. I want to talk to you guys about choice and why choice is everything. Choice is what makes us human, as a matter of fact. You know, because so many people act like victims in their lives, right? Oh, the government's doing this, the government's doing that. Oh, there's so much negativity in the world. What am I supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? Well, here's my answer to that. Make a choice, okay? Because you have a choice every single day. And what I really believe, no, what's true is that people have been conditioned to be victims. People act like victims. They have no control over their lives. And that's not good. You know, that's not good, because you have to have control over your life. You have to know where you're going in order to get what you want. Right? In order to do anything, accomplish anything, you got to make the right choices, and you got to be in control of your destiny. So, choice, you know, because so many people think they don't have a choice. You know, oh, you know, there's not much I can do. People think they're powerless. Well, I'm here to tell you, you're not powerless, and that you always have a choice. I don't care where you are in life, you have a choice. It really doesn't matter. And why is this important? It's important because you need to understand the power of the individual, the power that you carry as a sovereign human being. You are your own person, and the only person who is going to make you do anything is you. You have the power to say no, the power to say yes. It all comes down to choice. As a matter of fact, that's all life is. Life is all about choices. Everything we do now affects our lives in the future. Everything. We can choose to sacrifice things. We can choose to pursue things. It's all about choice. And so people act like victims, and they act like they have no control over their lives. I can't stand it. Why don't you man up? Why don't you put your big boy pants on? Why don't you grow up, become a man, and take responsibility for your life? Take control over your life. You know, and we got so many people today who don't take ownership. You know, they refuse to take ownership. They refuse to be, you know, to be brave, all right, to be honest with themselves and take ownership in life. They're always blaming somebody else. Oh, it's the government's fault. It's the president's fault. It's somebody else. It's never you, though, right? Take responsibility for your life. I mean, I think that's part of being a man, and especially if you're a man. Take responsibility for your life and stop giving someone else your control. I'm sorry. This has to stop. You have a choice in everything you do. You know, you can choose to do something great with your life, or you can choose to, you know, live in your mom's basement for like 10 years or 20 years until you're like 40 years old. You're making a conscious choice to do that. And so where I'm getting at, you know, is choice is freedom. Freedom of choice. Heck, I don't even care if you're in slavery. If you are in slavery, right? Slavery. Okay? Like African Americans were, you know, some time ago. But if you were in slavery, you still have a choice. And you might be saying, well, how do I have a choice? You have a choice whether or not to speak up or to remain silent. You have a choice whether to comply or to rebel. All right? You can choose whether to die on your knees as a slave or to die on your feet, all right, being free. That's what you can choose. So in that example, choose to live on your knees as a slave, all right, be a slave, or you could rise up and die on your feet being free. And quite honestly, Sounds like down on your feet to being free is a better alternative than being a slave. All comes down to choice. You always have a choice. So what I'm saying is there's always a different option. There's always a choice to be made. Even it doesn't matter what you do. When you're having a conversation, you have a choice whether or not you're going to respond, right? You don't have to respond. So what choices are you making? You know, I need you to get that. I need you to stop acting like victims. I need people to understand that they have control over their lives, and that the only way their life is going to change is if they make it change. Okay, you can't control what other people do. Because once you understand the power of choice, you understand that you really can't control what other people do. You can influence them, you can influence their decisions, but you can't make that decision for them. It has to be their choice. And once you understand this, you know, then you understand that the only person who's going to change your life is you. Because the only person who can make the choices for yourself in life is yourself. So don't give other people your control. Don't give other people your choice. You know, if you're waiting for someone else to change so that your life can change, so that you can get better, you're wasting your time. You need to change. Okay? Because the only thing you have absolute control over is yourself and what's happening in your life and where you are going. This is the difference between successful people and people who just live mediocre lives. The people who really succeed are the people who fully embrace this idea. The power of the individual. You have to respect yourself. You know, above all else, respect thyself. You have a choice. You always have a choice. So stop doing things you don't want to do. And stop giving someone else the power. The power is in your own hand. And you know, people think that's bad. You know, like, this is why I have a problem. I have a big problem with too much control. I have a big problem with too much order. Now, people might think, oh, you're rebellious, Darius. You don't like the rules. You don't like order. No, because order should not take away a person's freedom of choice. If order is taking away a person's freedom of choice, I will go the other direction. I completely reject that idea. Individuals should be given the right to choose, because if they don't have the right to choose, then what are we? We're not human. We're like robots or androids or something. If you don't have the right to choose, then you're just doing stuff. You're just doing stuff because you've been programmed to do it. Here's how I look at it. Choice, rules, control, things like that, okay, they should not take away your freedom. They should actually enable it. Alright, control, alright, order, it should enable freedom. Like, for example, you know, you don't want there to be too much freedom, because if there's too much freedom, there would be chaos, right? There would be absolute chaos. For example, you know, you've got everybody with their own standard, their own moral code, for example, and instead of like there being a standard, the individual sets that standard, and because there's an individual standard and there's not a general standard that everyone can follow, the rules would just be chaos, because everybody's doing their own thing. Like, for example, you know, people can do some evil things. Let's be honest. We have to admit that people can do evil. People kill people. People hurt people. We hurt one another. People are capable of evil, and if we don't have a standard in place that is going to keep people, you know, that is going to allow them to be free, but keep them from hurting themselves or others, then that's what they're going to do. They're going to hurt themselves or others in the process. So that's why a standard, that's why order has to be created, so we can control the chaos. So order is control and chaos is freedom. But you have to have a balance. So yes, I do believe in control. I do believe in order. You need order to be able to control the chaos. Because again, if people have too much freedom, then they're just uncontrollable and they can do evil things. You look at this in the world, like, we have rules. Like, for example, the red lights, green lights. You go when it's green, all right? When you're driving your car, you go when it's green, and then you stop when it's red. You slow down when it's yellow. These rules are not here to take away your freedom. These rules are here to allow you to be free and safe at the same time. They enable safety while you're being free. All right? Same thing with like the police. You know, they're there to make sure that everybody is free, but they're abiding by the rules so that everyone is safe, so that no one is hurt. I understand that. My problem is when you have too much control to the point where control takes away freedom of choice. That's the problem. That's where we run into an issue. Because control should not take away an individual's personal choice. If it does, then that's slavery. That's bondage. All right? And if you're in bondage, then you're not free. So order, all right, should enable freedom. Make sense? All right? It should basically make freedom safe so that nobody's killing each other. So that nobody's like moral standard is like corrupt or like, you know, depraved or like evil or something. You know, for example, like if it was left for the individual, we didn't have rules about, you know, murder and things like that, laws about murder. People would be killing people and they think it's okay because, you know, it's left to people's individual standard and not a universal standard that everyone can be upheld to. Make sense? And especially like when we go into like religion and things like that, and a lot of people talk about how, you know, religion was made to basically control people and, you know, basically keep people from doing things. Oh, and you know, oh, that's bad, that's evil, that's control, right? Is it really though? Is it really? And you know, I'm Christian, so I'm not speaking bad about religion, but is it really bad though? Because if people didn't have a standard of living, a moral code, if we didn't have that moral code in place, where would humanity be right now? That's what I'm saying. Like, as much as I don't like order, as much as I don't like control, I have to agree that it's necessary because it holds people to a standard. And you need people to enforce that standard, and you need people to live by that standard. Because if it was left to people, people would go astray. Because people are capable of so much evil, right? And that evil needs to be controlled. And if you have people with their individual standards, they're going to do some messed up stuff, okay? And it's going to be just chaos because everybody has their own standard, their own perception, their own values of what is right and what is good. You see the problem with that? So the idea, let's have a standard, a moral code that can keep people in check. And you can see that's basically what religion does. Now, you know, people say that's bad, but again, that's not bad. That's not bad. And I can see why people think that, but when you look at it, it's almost a necessary evil, right? When people look at it from that perspective. So, but my point is this: if it is taking away freedom of choice, then it's not enabling freedom. Control, order should always enable freedom, and it should avoid chaos. All right? If it is not enabling choice, if it is taking away choice, if it is taking away the freedom of the individual to make a choice, that is bondage, that is slavery, and I won't have it. I won't stand for it. Because that's not what it means to be human to me. All right? The whole point, the whole thing that makes us human is that we have a choice. I mean, we go back to, you know, to Genesis, okay, in the Bible. Adam and Eve had a choice. God didn't make them obey. You know, God didn't make them obey him. They had a choice. They could have chose to obey. They could have chose to disobey. All right? They chose to disobey him, and there were consequences for that. Right? Same thing with your life. For example, we can use this today. You have a job. All right? And people think they're slaves to their job. No, you're not slaves to your job. You have a choice to show up. You can show up to work, or you can choose not to go. There may be consequences for that. But hey, It's your choice at the end of the day. And you need to see that. You need to own that. Because the sooner people see that, the sooner people can stop being jealous of one another. You know why people get jealous of each other? It's because they don't understand choice. They don't understand that, like, what got that person there was the choices they made. Alright? Or the choices someone made. And they should be making those choices for themselves. Because that's all life is. Life is a matter of choices. And I know I'm rambling about this, but get this. I really want you to get this. So choices, you know, like, even like obtaining success, being successful in business, or being successful in anything, accomplishing anything, is a choice. It's a conscious effort. Like me making this video, for example. It's a choice I'm making. Right? It's a choice I choose to make. And so the reason why people are jealous is because most people are victims. Most people are babies. I want someone else to take care of me. You know, I don't want to, you know, put my big boy pants on. I don't want to take responsibility for my life. I want to blame someone else. I want them to take care of me. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. And if you're a man and you have this point of view, grow up. I'm sorry, because I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. Alright? You are responsible for your own life. Stop blaming your parents. Stop blaming your friends. Stop blaming the government. Stop blaming other people. Blame yourself. Alright? And people might say, well, you're not, you know, we don't have as much control as we think. There are some things we can't control. We can't control people. Right? We can't control some things that happen in life, like natural disasters, or illness, maybe, for example. But my thing is this, and then people say there's always things you can control, and that's a fact. Okay, there's always a choice. All right, always. Like, and you might be saying, like, people say, well, if we had so much control over our lives, why couldn't we choose whether or not we existed? Why couldn't we choose whether or not we were put into this world? Okay, well, you do realize that two individuals had to get with each other and have sexual relations to even conceive you in the first place. It was their choice. It was somebody else's choice that got you here, right? My point is this. You have a choice in everything you do. You get into this world, you have a choice. The choice is in your hand now, especially when you come of age, right? You know, you may not be able to choose, and my point is this. You may not be able to choose how you got here, alright? But you can choose how you leave here. Alright? You can die broke, poor. You can come into this world broke, poor, without anything. But how you leave here is up to you. Because every human being has the right, has the freedom to make a choice, to make choices. And the choices you make now define your future. So don't point fingers. Don't be envious of other people who have more than you. You need to be learning. As I said in my other videos, knowledge is power. You need to be making the right choices. You need to educate yourself. If you want something in life, you need to get it yourself. Stop depending on other people. Stop. Get educated. Stop being ignorant. Okay? Get your head out of the sand and grow up. That's what you need to do. Right? So, yeah, and then, you know, everybody, because then there's this point of view where everybody wants things to be equal. You know, everybody should have the same thing. Everybody should be equal, right? You know what? No, everybody should not be equal. Because if everybody was equal, nobody would really be free. I mean, what's the point in striving towards, like, goals, right? What's the point in striving towards success if everybody has it? Everybody doesn't have it. Everybody has freedom of choice. And it's up to you to decide whether or not that success you want or that success you crave is worth it. And if it's worth it, you're going to pursue that. But why should everybody have, you know, why should everybody be equal? Like, have the same stuff, have the same things. What's the point in achieving things? That stifles growth. You know, that stifles striving towards something. That's my problem with that. So no, people should have freedom of choice, okay? Freedom of choice. Because when you have freedom of choice, you can decide where your life goes, and you can decide what you have and what you don't have. But if everybody's equal and everybody has the same, everybody has everything they have, everybody has the same thing, everybody's equal. Nobody stands out. And nobody's really not even going to be able to. They're not even allowed to, because everything has to be equal. So what's the point for striving towards anything, to achieve anything? That stifles growth. I mean, you really think we got here in life by, thinking like that? No. There were people who thought of original ideas and they made the world a better place. That's why we were where we are now. Okay, so no, freedom of choice. Not this equal stuff, okay? Everybody has the right to choose where they're going to end up in life. Everybody has a choice. Is everybody equal? No, but everybody won't do what some people are willing to do. Simple as that. That's simple. So stop being a victim and understand that you have free choice. It doesn't matter where you are in life. I don't even care if you're a slave. Okay, if you are a slave, if you are in bondage, all right, you have a right to choose to rebel or to choose to comply. All right, you can die, you can live on your knees a slave, or you can die on your feet. You can die on your feet, a man being in freedom, right? And I know that's an extreme example, but I'm trying to get you to understand that it doesn't matter where you are in life, you always have a choice. I mean, just thinking is a choice. You have a choice in just what you think. Like, I really want you to get this. Like, this is huge. And just stop looking without and start looking within. You get what I'm saying? I really hope you guys get this. But understand the power of choice. And don't let your freedom be taken away from you. Do not let your power of choice be taken away from you. Like, ever. So, that's extremely important. So I really hope you guys get this. Live, alright, make right choices in life. Choose what you focus on. And make the choices that are going to move you forward in life. Take choices that are going to help you succeed and not going to be detrimental to you in the future. You want to make good choices. You want to learn about the right things. You want to do the right things now so you can have a better life later on. Because what you do now affects your future. What you do now defines your future. So make the right choices. I don't care where you are in life, start making the right choices so you can have a better life. Because every man has the power of free choice. And that's my point in this video. Stop being a victim. And that's it. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.